What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Monday market update. Seems like these things happen at least once a week. Well, we are excited to be back with you. My name is Sean Grapevine, director of Agent Connect, leader, of Agent Connect, and anything else that rhymes with that. I try and get my grubby little paws on. I hope you all had a great weekend. I'm excited to bring to you a Monday market update with an actual no offense to the Mac of the rate stack, the Baron of Bips, the Titan of the 10-year, Austin Koenig, but we're going to have a loan officer with us to talk about some of the practical applications today about how to interpret and digest market data and turn it into actionable material and realize how to become an expert in your market. I'm joined today by a man who got his start in and continues to own a business in the high school, essentially senior pictures industry, and who's really run the table on that industry. They call him Mr. Senior in high school photographer, but he obviously for obvious reasons doesn't want you to call him that. He's the leader of the Epic Mortgage team here at UMortgage, and from what I can see behind him, he is also the leader of an Epic bourbon collection. So I bring to all of you Andrew Cady. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you. Happy to be here, man. School photography, entrepreneurship is where I started. Mortgages is where I am currently at and will remain. But yeah, it's a fun time in the market. Looks like we're opening 21 basis points to the red. So always a Monday fun day, baby.
Yeah, like high school photography is a lot like, right, having maternity wards and mortuaries, right? They never go out of business. They just keep making more high schools.
Yeah, you're dealing with a once in a lifetime event. You only graduate from high school once, unless you're one of those people that are on the 6-year senior program. You get a few of those here and there, but yeah, it's a once in a lifetime event. It's a great business. That business is running strong. I think we're officially the number 2 in the country now.
Nice. That's so cool. Well, we'll take a look at a snapshot of last week's news and then talk a little bit about, we had a headline inflation number last week, and then this week we've got some important but not quite as flashy numbers coming out. So let's dive into inflation last week. Reasonable report, right? It seems like inflation, if you take out all of the things that are rising in cost, looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think the biggest ugly on that report, the headline was beat expectations. It was over expectations, but oil rose 8.5% in a month. Like of course we're going to have an ugly headline, whereas core reading, stripping out food and energy, actually beat expectations. So it was definitely a mixed bag of donuts on the report itself.
So when something like that happens, and obviously that didn't have a huge effect on the 10-year or mortgage-backed securities. I mean, no more than any of the other crazy stuff happening in this world, right? Like we're still trading in a range, and so it didn't generate news on the mortgage rate front, right? You couldn't go to your agents like every once in a while you used to be able to, and say like, whoa, huge number here, and like this is how it affected mortgage rates, and this is like the effect on mortgage rates and the effect on your borrower were like very clear cut. But like this is still important stuff. And I mean, if you're just an agent or a consumer looking at this on on the front page of the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or something like that, then it might be kind of hard to interpret. Do you use like these bigger headline newsworthy articles to generate conversations, to make people feel safer? Like how many conversations did you have last week about the market with your partners?
I had a ton. I did, I normally do lunch and learns anytime we get CPI data out, or usually at CPI jobs reports, I get asked in. There's a lot of local real estate offices that want me to come in and explain what the hell's happening in the markets. And so I do that. Last week I was out of town. I did a few Zooms with them. I try to steer away from mainstream media. And I try to explain what mainstream media's goal is. Their objective is clickbait. It's to get people to click a news article. So they're going to make everything much more dire than it actually needs to be. And so I always try to say, hey, here's what the news is saying. Here is the doom and gloom they're proclaiming on the housing market. However, like Friday, that one economist came out and said 30% decline in home prices would be a good guess. And I'm like, so this is what your buyers are going to see. But let's talk about the real data and what's going on behind the scenes. So I always try to use it as, hey, here's what's out there. Here's how you combat the news media, what the news media is putting out there.
Okay. And so what would you say is like step one if you were going to tell a loan officer what to say to, a group of agents?
For me, I think you need to engross yourself in the information. And I can say firsthand, it's not easy to extrapolate the data that you get. MBS Highway is a phenomenal source to give us knowledge on how to explain things. But you're not going to just say, okay, I'm going to go do this tomorrow. You actually need to dive into this for 6 months to a year and read every report and follow MBS Highway, follow Bloomberg, follow some of the big channels and start to see the stark contrast between it. I mean, this is our career, guys. This isn't a weekend little project. If we're going to do this as our career, why not become the absolute best at it and become the best at extrapolating data? If you're going to jump into it, follow Barry Habib and regurgitate for the first 6 months of what I did. I just took what he said on the morning update, made a bunch of notes, recorded my own video in my own words, and posted it to my Facebook group of real estate agents. Like, you can start there and you say, well, I'll never understand it. Well, you will. It just takes time. It takes a lot of time to start to understand what on earth is happening. And especially right now, it seems like everything's backwards. I said before this, it's like we're living in an episode of Stranger Things. We're in the upside down world. Normally conflict, like a war, would create such a flight to safety. We would see the 10-year just drop like a hammer. But no, we're seeing it go the other way. So right now, not a lot of things make sense. You really have to dig deep on it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think it's really important to keep our originating skills sharp. So don't hear me say that don't do that. But like you said, right? Like our goal, one of the things we're compensated for, even though, right, it just seems like the compensation we earn is directly from a loan. One of the things we're compensated for is like being experts in the market, like winning over, like real estate agents don't have the exposure to, all of the financial tools and financial news that we do, or they're unwilling to. And being that expert in the market is definitely one of the ways in which you earn trust and that get referred to borrowers. I mean, to be frank, like originating a loan is easy. Earning somebody's trust to get that loan is really the hard part. So you said like you post reactions and interpolations of economic data to your realtor Facebook group. I mean, how many realtors do you have in that group?
Just under 800. I've started building this group 2 years ago. If you're watching this, don't ask to be invited to it. I don't allow it. And that's one stipulation that I put to the real estate agents when I invite them to it is me and my team are the only loan originators in this group. We will never use this group to sell you. No pitches. We will only provide you relevant housing data. Like if it's relevant housing data to stay up to date on what's happening, that is what we post in the group. We're not going to pitch. We're not going to sell. We're not going to talk about products. This is, hey, this is what the housing market is doing. This is what's out there. Here's how you combat it. And I think I built that many real estate agents in the group because I'm not using it as a pitch deck. And so I don't allow other loan officers in there, title groups in there, nobody. It's just me and my team, or our team, and we just go through and provide housing data updates to them. And so I'm just under 800 real estate agents in that group now.
That's amazing. That's really great. So yeah, again, using expertise instead of like sales to win trust in hearts and minds. So we've got a couple pieces of news coming up this week that we chatted about. We've got housing starts, initial jobless claims. We actually have Q3 GDP coming out, I think, on Thursday. Yep. And what else? We like Case Shiller, stuff like that. So we got the Fed Beige Book and a bunch of Fed speakers speaking. So in a week like this, right? It's not like Fed's not meeting and deciding whether or not to raise interest rates. It's not CPI. So those are the two big name players in the like news world. On a week where there's like, it just seems like it's death by a thousand cuts with all of this information. How do you like, are you giving constant updates to people like, whoa, this happened, this happened, this happened? Or are you trying to like put it together in a package and be like, hey, these are all the things that happened, and like here's the context we can draw from that?
So I'm gonna this will be a quiet news week. Like there's not a lot I'm post. I don't want to be the guy that posts every day just to post and updates people just to update them. So what I'll do on a week like this is if there's any market moving information, like I'm gonna watch all the Fed speakers this week. It's even if I miss it, I'll go back and rewatch it because their words weigh heavily on economic conditions. And I may, sometimes I'll go live, stream the YouTube feed from the Fed of their speech with me giving overlays and comedy. So kind of like
Awesome.
comedic
Yeah.
stuff. So they'll be talking, I'll mute them, and then I'll just give my commentary and unmute them and go back and forth. So I'll play some of that game, but more on a week like this, I'll probably dive into existing home sales pretty heavily on Thursday with the Facebook group, and then obviously publicly on Facebook as well, because existing home sales is going to be probably a very low number this time. We see a 30-year low. Maybe the first time in 30 years we see us dip below 4 million. And so that's going to be a big news number. The media is going to pick up on it. Anything that's media is going to hit, I want to hit it first.
So tell me what like conclusions to draw from like a supposed 30-year low in existing home sales.
Well, you got to find the silver lining. I mean, I'm never going to come at this from a negative standpoint. I'm never going to come at this as, the world's falling down as much as sometimes I want to. I'm like,
yeah, you're like, it's not looking good.
But no, so I'm always going to find a silver lining. Like, I'm in the South, and, I'm sorry for those of you watching this that are not in the South, but we have a really big data point on that existing home sales that we get to use to our advantage. Like the last existing home sales that came out was 4.04 million. 45.6% of all existing home sales happened in the South.
Wow.
And so my real estate agents in my group are the South. And so I'm hitting that data with them. And I'm like, yes, we hit a 30-year low, but be thankful that you're not in the Pacific Northwest where 7% of the transactions happened. Be very, very thankful that you're in the South where we're capturing almost 50% of all existing home sales. And for loan originators watching this, 68% of existing home sales have a mortgage. 68%. That means last month, 2.7 million mortgages were written. Quit telling me there's not business out there.
Right. How many active licensed loan officers do we really think there are out there?
Probably around 93,000. I mean,
yeah, it's plenty of meat on that bone.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about this on the sales huddle today, but there was a data chart shown at the Housing Wire event I was at in Austin, Texas last week. You want to talk about mind-bending information. In 2021, there was 1.6 trillion purchase applications done. 1.6 trillion. There were also 179,000 licensed loan originators in 2021. In 2023, it is projected to have 1.59 trillion purchase originations with 93,000, potentially 80,000 at the end of the year, licensed originators. We're talking the same volume, very close to the same volume with half the originators. So go out there and get your piece of the pie, because at the end of the day, your only competition is the mirror. If you're saying there's not business out there, it's going to people that are actually out there doing the work, because that business is there. It is
100%. Oh my God. I'm ready to throw my monitor across the room.
I messaged my team this morning. I said, I woke up with a bit of an attitude. Like I've just got an attitude towards this. Like, guys, the business is out there. It's not easy right now, but the business is there. If you want to go put the extra effort and the extra work in, it takes becoming an expert to really solidify relationships. You have to be the guy that goes out and gives the information that actually puts that forward right now.
Man, I love this. We got to get you on more often with me and Austin. We just go over the numbers with a fine tooth comb, but we gotta get some excitement going. So, You guys heard it here first, right? You got to get excited. You got to be an expert, and you have to give information in a way that's digestible, that has a silver lining, but that's realistic, and like good loan officers. I don't know a single loan officer producing more than 30-40 million dollars a year that's not like all all in on knowing exactly what all the economic indicators are, not because they use it predictively. I mean, this is the last point we'll hit, but like you're not sitting there floating loans because you're looking at all the data trying to figure out whether or not the 10 year is going to be up or down tomorrow.
No, floating loans is the dumbest thing you can do in this market. We are in the upside down. The foremost expert in housing data, Barry Habib, he's won the Crystal Ball Award what 3 times? Like no one has even come close to that. And I love Barry to death, but how many times has he got it wrong this year? Like I'm sorry, but right now, lock your damn loans. Lock them down. That is one of the benefits of being on the wholesale side of the business, guys. Like it's
Best
not
float down policy in the industry. Just it's
right.
called other lenders.
It's called other lenders, but it also means that our lenders are going to be very aggressive in their float down policy because they know that. Like it's not good practice to yank a loan and send it to another lender. I'm not sitting here promoting that.
Sure.
But if crap the fan tomorrow and rates drop to 5% and you're locked on your pipeline, lenders are also understanding you got to do what you got to do to keep your business. So they're either going to get very aggressive with a relock or a float down policy, or they're going to have those loans pulled and put to another lender. They know that. So we have optionality, guys. Lock your damn loans in. Explain to the client that if something changes within 2 weeks of closing, we have the ability to change it up and float down and make things work for them. They may have to, resubmit some documents, but no, don't float your loans. Floating loans in this market, I'm sorry, it's just bad news. We don't know what's going to happen in the Middle East. I mean, you saw the news come out over the weekend. Iran is aggressively saying any further incursions in Gaza will be the end of Israel. Like Iran gets involved, Russia gets involved, NATO gets involved. Like we don't know where this thing could go. If you get a loan, lock your damn loan.
100%. Yeah. Give yourself at least the smallest bit of assuredness in this topsy-turvy world by at least not having to worry about that. Well, Andrew, hey, this was fantastic. I loved having you on. We'll make sure to get you on more often. Thanks for the insight from a guy with some boots on the ground and some wisdom in the brain. I don't know. Can't finish that one off. But I appreciate your time, man.
Absolutely, dude. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.
See
Have
ya.
a great week.